You're listening to the Ask Drone U podcast. You ask, we answer your drone questions. Whether you're here to turn your passion into profit or you simply fly for fun, we're a community of learners and teachers who aspire to achieve greatness. We are
Drone U.
Hey everyone, and welcome to a very formal episode of Ask Drone U. In this week's Drone News. Joining me today, as always, is the Flying Dutchman. Haye, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, Paul. Good morning. How are you today?
Doing much better than every other day this week. How about you?
What, you feel the weekend coming closer? Is that it?
No, I'm getting a little excited for upcoming mapping training in San Diego. I'm going to spend a few days out there before the training to get some additional work done and get some flights in. So that's what's exciting me.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What about you, buddy?
Pretty good. I mean, it's getting colder here. We got some snow in New York last couple of days, so that's a bit of a change. Flying is definitely harder now with these low temperatures, but otherwise all is good here in New York.
Well, that's awesome. A good little tip for everyone is if you have a lot of snow on the ground, don't forget to use an ND filter to reduce the shutter speed on your camera as we enter winter. Very, very, very important. But in this week's Drone News, Haye, it looks like there is a lot going on. There's not a lot going on with product release, there's not a lot going on with the FAA, and there's not a lot going on here in America. But outside of America, and well, maybe LA as well, we're seeing some pretty interesting news that could really, really have a large effect on the industry as a whole, as it looks like another helicopter pilot may have, well, we don't know yet, may have hit a drone outside of LA. Now, while I believe it's ABC 7 News is reporting that there is a 5-mile ban from the airport that LA County has in effect, unfortunately, only the FAA can control the airspace. So the law that they just mentioned, well, it has no legal bearing. But Haye, what's going on here? Is this something where a helicopter pilot is crying wolf again? Or are you seeing some sort of evidence that showcases, well, maybe this was a drone?
Well, like you mentioned, there's been a lot of situations where drones were pointed to as being the culprits and it ended up not being a drone at all. However, in this case, it might be different. If you look closely at the images that show the damage, well, first of all, you'll notice right away that there are no blood and feathers on this helicopter. So it doesn't really seem to be a bird strike, and the damage itself is pretty significant. But before we get into to all of that, this incident that might have involved a drone happened on Wednesday night at 7:15 over the downtown area of LA. A news helicopter, Air 7, was flying over that area at about 1,100 feet. So that's also something to take note of, way above the 400 feet limit for drones. And it struck an object. And they say that it might have well been a drone. The news channel actually was funny. They first reported that the helicopter was struck by a drone, and then later on they changed their headline, and now they say that it's the Air 7 HD struck by suspected drone over downtown LA, because as of yet they haven't really found any concrete evidence. The LAPD sent out a crew to look for drone debris or a drone that might have crashed in the downtown LA area. We don't know if any pieces of the drone might have ended up stuck in the helicopter, like we've seen in the case where the Black Hawk collided with a drone over Staten Island, New York. So as of yet, we don't have any concrete evidence. But again, if you go back to those images, you'll see that the damage to the helicopter is pretty severe. I mean, first of all, there are dents and scratches and even a hole in the tail wing of the helicopter. And also there seems to be a mark on the tail rotor of the helicopter. Whatever it hit, it must have been of significant size and weight to cause this much damage to the helicopter. The FAA is investigating, the LAPD is investigating as well, and yeah, we're now just waiting on more information to come out. And as you know, with these kind of investigations, it might take quite some time before we get some real proof. The helicopter pilot, Chris Christie, said that we were flying just east of downtown LA and we heard this pop, a loud bang. We felt it, we heard it, we all looked at each other, didn't really know what it was, and we just assumed it was a bird because that happens every once in a while. When we got to the ground ground, though, it was a different story. And then later on, he adds that my pilot saw a flash and it looked like it might have been the green and red lights from a drone that might have caught the corner of his eye, but he didn't really see it until we felt it. So Chris Christie, one of the people on board, by his language, you can also see that he's leaving some room there for it not having been a drone, possibly. But then again, if you look at the damage, yeah, it could have been. If it was a drone, then other things, of course, come into play. Flying at 1,100 feet above ground is way higher than you're allowed to fly a drone. Also, it seems to have been very dark, so flying at nighttime would be another issue. And of course, flying beyond visual line of sight might also have become an issue here. We'll keep a close eye on this as this news develops, but as of now, this is all the news that we have on this possible drone incident.
Yeah, very interesting, Haye. If the drone was flying that high, that would obviously be an illegal flight in itself. In addition, if the pilot didn't have a strobe, an anti-collision strobe, that could have avoided this problem as a whole, which goes to show pilots why it's so important to ensure that you have your strobe that's visible from 3 nautical miles placed on top of the drone so it can be seen hopefully in 360 degrees and also can be seen from up to 3 nautical miles away. That way, other people can seek and avoid you. It's, for drone pilots, I feel like there's an issue because a lot of us are innately lazy, right? We're all human. And sometimes you just want to get that shot right at twilight and you don't throw the strobe on there. But, guys, while we may only be risking a small $2,000 or $5,000 tool, others are risking their lives. So it's really important to not be lazy when it comes to anti-collision strobes. But Haye, it seems like there's a lot more information here that's missing to tell a real complete story. Now, that being said, LAPD was going out searching for this drone. I wish they would have taken my search and rescue class so they could learn how to autonomously search through areas with software and stop wasting so much time. Either way, it's a great opportunity for us to learn, once again, that while departments may have the best training programs in the world, we can always learn. And I think that's a lesson for everybody. Always be open to learning. That being said, it looks like the FAA is open to learning in this next piece of drone news. As the FAA expands the IPP program, which some in the drone news world, such as Mr. Patrick Egan, state that is necessary for the industry growth as a whole to expand IPP, increase data collection, and make more educated decisions. I think this might be something that I actually agree with him on. Haye, but what's going on here in Memphis?
Yeah, if you remember when the UAS Integration Pilot Program was first announced, 2 things really stood out. Is that one, Amazon wasn't part of any of these tests. The second one, of course, was DJI was not included. Even though the DJI drones were part of many of these test programs, the company itself was not mentioned as a partner in any of these cases. So now, pretty much a year into the UAS Integration Pilot Program, finally DJI is added as a partner at the Memphis International Airport testing. And in this case, they're working together with the city of Memphis, Memphis Fire Department, Police Department, the Tennessee Department of Transportation, as well as FedEx and some other companies. And they're testing out different scenarios and different use cases with drones in this situation. For instance, they're doing aircraft inspections, as we saw as well at the DJI Airworks of 2018. In this case, they're inspecting FedEx aircraft with drones. They're doing delivery of aircraft parts to these FedEx planes, both at nighttime and during the day, as well as airport perimeter security and support of various airport safety inspections. So they have a wide range of different drone use cases, and obviously they're using DJI drones, and they finally brought in DJI as a partner as well, which I think makes a lot of sense. I always thought it was weird that DJI as a company would not have been included in any of these IPP programs, even though their drones are being used widely within these programs, but of course also by fire departments, police departments, search and rescue organizations throughout the country. So I'm happy to see that this happens. Of course, the UAS IPP program itself is to help the FAA develop and advance their policies and their drone regulations going forward. So it's quite an important program in that sense as well.
Yeah, this is great news because, the NTSB and other agencies have been flying drones around airports for a couple years now. I mean, there have been multiple investigations that have gone through, I can't remember if it was Congress or the Senate, to showcase, hey, look, this is how we figured out that this plane, I believe it was the Hoosiers MD-80 plane that essentially failed to get off the runway with the basketball team on it. And they found through drone mapping that it was actually the winds from the previous night before that caused the damage to the aircraft and why it couldn't take off. And they were flying drones around the airport all day long with traffic coming in and out of the airport, proving that, it's possible to have multiple types of aircraft working in the same environment, if they're controlled. I think this is phenomenal, Haye. This is the best news I've heard all year long because we need the FAA to get more data. And it's easy to understand that the FAA is not just going to listen to all DSPs, which I wish they would, without some sort of concrete evidence to say, okay, we hear you, but prove it, right? I think that's one of the common issues that we face with the FAA. So the fact that they're getting more intel, they're getting more data to prove what's possible, what's not, what's truly safe, what's not, this is a phenomenal move forward, Haye. It wasn't just a few years ago that the FAA was putting their arms up all the time in the national news saying, drones are bad, they're unsafe, like all these pilots and plane pilots are seeing, drones where they shouldn't be. And now they're kind of saying, maybe these drones aren't really as dangerous as we thought.
Yeah, it's great news, and you can see. I mean, in the press release, Brendan Schulman, he was pretty excited. Adam Lisberg, the spokesperson for DJI North America, he reached out to us, a drone DJ. They are all very excited. I mean, not just to be part of the UAS IPP program, but also maybe because they would see this as a sign that the U.S. government might be warming up a little bit towards DJI again, which would be a good sign, I think. So yeah, a lot of people are excited about this news.
Yeah, there's a lot of good news about this. Now, it would be interesting to see what happens with the data, because I hope that this is a good example that we don't really need more regulation. I think we actually need to take the reins off of regulation, because at what point is the FAA actually inhibiting growth of the industry without clear and concise systems to do BVLOS operations, drone delivery, and other operations in a systematic format to get waiver exclusions? So frankly, I hope that this data provides information that really assists the FAA in making decisions to kind of pull off the reins a little bit. So that being said, as we get into this next piece of drone news, it looks like the first use case of the new Skydio drones is not with any action sports enthusiasts. It's not with any surfers. It's not with any race car drivers. It's not with anything that even relates to sports. Haye, who's using the Skydio 2 first? Other than you and I.
Chula Vista Police Department in California. I mean, as you and I know, Skydio has been sending out their latest drone, the Skydio 2, to a number of first responders, including the fire department right here in New York. Chula Vista Police Department in California has already been at the forefront of using drones in their day-to-day operations, and now they're looking to use, or they have been using already for the last 4 weeks, 2 of these Skydio 2 drones. And of course, with the obstacle avoidance and the self-flying ability of the Skydio 2, this is an ideal drone to scope out areas and fly around buildings and even through buildings to get a sense of the situation and to get better information to your people. So it's super exciting in that sense. This is the first police department apparently in the world that has been using these Skydio 2 drones. And we know that Skydio has put a lot of emphasis on first responders. Of course, if you look at the drone itself, then hey, we're still missing a few things. I mean, for one, the drone cannot be flown at night because the obstacle avoidance system in that case doesn't work, and the drone doesn't allow you to fly it at night currently. And also, we're missing a thermal camera, something that a lot of first responders, firemen, and policemen would look for to add onto this drone. So even though the drone might not be the perfect drone for this kind of work yet, I think a lot of people are super excited about the ease of use. I mean, this drone is super easy to fly. It's near impossible to crash it. And the fact that you can use this drone to remotely scope out buildings and areas and look for people, I think is a huge advantage. So we're excited to see this happen. We hope that Skydio is going to come out with a drone that's more dedicated to this group of drone pilots. And we hope that they'll do that soon.
Yes, definitely. Hope that they will do that soon. Wow, really exciting news here that the Skydio 2 is shipping now and that Chula Vista is utilizing it. You know, when it comes to public safety questioning the utilization of this drone for public safety, some of the questions that are asked showcase a complete lack of understanding of the capability of this vehicle, which is not surprising. But the fact, when we talk about it doesn't have a thermal camera, it doesn't have prop guards, and that it can't fly at night, I would ask the question to all first responders, how often do you fly at night? And then how much does that matter? And I think that's something still to be seen. Now, anyone who's like, the Skydio 2 doesn't have prop guards, anyone who would ask that question, I would say, you need to fly it first. All right?
Yes.
So anyway, I'm not going to say any more other than it's just so important that people understand that before they assume things, you've got to have hands-on interaction. But anyway, that brings us to our next news of the week. It looks like, okay, maybe I lied. There is one more piece of manufacturing news, and it comes on the Mavic 2 Revolve.
Zoom. Yeah. The Revolve Thermal Mark III, and this is based on the Mavic 2 series. Initially, the first prototype, they used a Mavic 2 Zoom from DJI to build this drone. It's built by company Drone Doctors, and now they started a new company specifically to launch this drone called Revolve Drones. Basically, what they've done is they took a DJI Mavic 2 and they modified it, and they included a boson FLIR thermal camera on it, providing you with double the resolution that you otherwise would get from a DJI 2 Enterprise Dual. So you're getting twice the resolution, a more capable drone in that sense, at least for search and rescue missions, priced slightly above the DJI Mavic 2 Enterprise Dual. So it is a little more expensive. We first reached out to these guys in England when they launched their prototype, which, if I recall correctly, was sometime around March of this year. And they said, hey, later on in the year, we plan to have this more developed and ready for production and ready for sales. We'll reach out to you guys at Drone DJ again so you can help us launch this product. We did put an article out earlier this week, and right now it's a great drone. Of course, we know that the Autel Evo 2 is going to come out. That's going to have a thermal camera as well. We know that Skydio is going to come out with a drone with a thermal camera at some point. At least we think so. So there's definitely going to be more competition for this company. It wouldn't surprise me, of course, if DJI comes out with a improved version of their DJI Mavic 2 Enterprise Dual at some point as well. So right now, these guys with their Revolve Thermal Mark III, they kind of own the market still, if you will, but the competition is going to heat up for sure.
Definitely. Very interesting to see this. I will say I'm really excited about the new Autel drone. I really, really, really am. Because from what I've seen with the enormous EO sensor and thermal sensor, while I do think this is a great, great tool, and it is on the market now, I'm so excited to see what Autel drops in 2020. Yeah. All right. Well, that brings us to our next piece of drone news, which is all about the French, as they do, always trying to compete with the Americans. Boeing, Airbus. America had the first plane, but it was sold first in France. So what is France doing now to one-up the Americans once again?
Yeah, this is a subsidiary of the French postal service La Poste, and they've been using drones apparently already since 2014. So they got some years of testing and trial and error under their belt for sure. They now created a drone. It's a 6-prop drone that launches from the side of a delivery van, and they're using it in the high Alps in France. And especially in the wintertime, those windy roads going up to the mountain villages, those villages are pretty remote. You can imagine that with snowy and icy conditions, driving a van full with packages is not going to be an easy task. They say that at best it typically takes 30 minutes for a round trip, whereas with a drone you can cut that down to 8 minutes. So you're saving time, you're saving money, you're saving on fuel since you're using an electric drone instead of your delivery van. So there are quite some advantages, of course. However, the capability of the drone to deliver larger packages is very much restricted. I mean, right now they can only fly smaller parcels, so the value really is in things that need to be delivered quickly and urgently, which is basically the same situation that Zipline is using when they are using drones to deliver blood samples and medication throughout different African countries. It's just, drone delivery right now seems to make the most sense when you have smaller packages that can actually be carried by a drone and that need to be delivered quickly to an area where otherwise you don't have easy access to. It's cool to see this happening in France. We really haven't seen and heard that much of, let's say, more recent drone developments in France. So for them to be testing drones and to come out with this news, I think is really promising. And it's exciting to see. They were awarded permission from the French Civil Aviation Authority. So this is going to become a more routine type of delivery. And yeah, we'll keep an eye on these guys and see what else they're going to do with delivery by drone in France.
Yeah, very exciting. Lots of news this week, Haye, and really appreciate you coming to the forefront. I know it takes a lot of time to write these articles, and I know it takes a lot of time to really understand and dig down and figure out what's really going on. But it's exciting to see the world advance in drone technology, as I think it's slowly changing the perception that many fearmongers may have about drones. I think it's exciting.
Same here. It's super exciting, and it's funny. Like every week we do this news show, and there are so many articles to choose from. I mean, I can't even write all the articles that I possibly could write if you look at how much news becomes available. And then, of course, for this show, we make a selection of the news that we think is the most exciting and the most newsworthy to be shared with our listeners and readers. Every week there's just so much to talk about. It's really exciting.
It is really exciting. Last piece of drone news I wanted to just mention as I was searching through your site is it looks like there is a firmware release for the Mavic Mini. And have you actually installed that firmware update and flown your Mini?
I've installed it, but haven't been able to fly it yet. From what I've heard and seen online and from people that we're in touch with, it does seem to improve both the stability of the drone, the way it flies, the way it takes off, as well as gimbal movement. So the footage, at least from my own experience, was already very smooth using the gimbal. We've tested it in high wind conditions, as well as just trying to get cinematic shots with the Mavic Mini. It did already really well. So if this firmware update improves that even more so, then I think, it's just going to get people more and more excited about this affordable DJI Mavic Mini.
Well, I'm glad to see that there are improvements. I would love to be able to see a lot of customization in the flight controls so that you could get the most out of that drone, because it would be really cool if you could actually do a horseshoe movement on the move around a car or a boat and it'd be done smoothly, but you still can't even do that with a Mavic 2 Pro. So
it's funny because it seems that DJI has not included some of the features that I think easily could have been included. For instance, panorama pictures doesn't exist. You cannot get access to the raw files of the images that it shoots. You can't fly it into ADI mode. I mean, there's a number of things that are missing from the drone that we think at least could be included, and we would argue with DJI that they should be included, even going as far as saying that we think this drone is probably well capable of shooting 4K video, even though DJI has only allowed it to come out with 2.7K video. So I think there's a lot of room for improvement. I think the real question to DJI is like, hey guys, are you willing to give us some more of the features of this drone so that we can actually use it in more commercial work as well, and just get more out of this awesome little aircraft? Yeah,
I will say I found one particular use for this drone. For me, I've only found one. Are you ready for it?
Let me know. Paperweight on your desk or what?
I like that. No.
Right for that.
No, next time I go do a geospatial intelligence class in Montreal, I can bring my Mavic Mini and not have to worry about dealing with any red tape in Canada. So really excited about that. I don't know if you listened to our Transport Canada podcast, but he kind of waited right to the end of the show to drop that bomb. And I thought that was really interesting. So anyway, excited to hear that. Haye, thank you again. Thank you, Flying Dutchman, for joining us one more time on the news show. It is so much fun doing this with you, my friend. Thank you.
Awesome. I appreciate being on the show. And yeah, we only have a few more left before the year is over. So we got to go out with a bang this year, I think.
I could not agree more. Maybe we should travel somewhere and do a special New Year's episode. I don't know. But anyway, really, really excited about that. All right, Haye. Well, thank you so much, my friend. I hope you have a great day. Thanks again for bringing this drone news to us. And for you listeners out there, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to the show or watch it. We greatly appreciate your support and hope that maybe you'll share the show with someone else. That's going to do it for us today. My name is Paul. He's the Flying Dutchman. This is Ask Drone U.